All right. Well, how many of you have ever gotten into an argument and thought, how did we even get here?
Or better yet, didn't we already fight about this?
That happens a lot. Well, today we're going to talk about one of the most famous relationship arguments of all time. And that is Ross and Rachel's argument, their big fight that kind of lasted a couple seasons from the 1990s sitcom Friends.
And before anybody tunes out thinking this is just about a TV show, stay with us because this fight shows up in real marriages in more ways than we'd like to admit.
Absolutely. And so this isn't about who was right or wrong or whose side you were on, or maybe you've never even seen Friends and all. That's okay. But it's about what could have changed everything and how that can affect your relationship too.
One clarifying question.
Yep, that was it. And we want to help you see today how learning to have clarifying conversations, especially when emotions are high, can stop repeated arguments before they turn into something bigger.
So if you've ever felt stuck in the same fight over and over again, or maybe you feel stuck right now, then this episode is for you.
Yeah. So, okay. So we, just a little information. We love sitcoms.
Yeah.
And we loved them like when we first got married, when we were in college.
Yeah.
We were talking about this the other day. So we got married in the late 90s, 96, back in the 1900s. That was really kind of the mid 90s, 96.
Right.
And I remember we were in our last year of college. We were in a little college apartment, and we didn't have any money, so we had TV, and so we watched Mad About You.
Yes.
That was a great one because they were in their first year of marriage too.
Uh-huh.
And
it was they were kind of the newlywed couple, and that's where we were in our relationship. And we didn't watch much TV, but I remember that. And then the Friday nights we would watch the dinner and a movie.
TVS
Yeah.
had dinner and a movie, peas and cornbread. Yep, and we'd watch that movie because that was we couldn't go to the movie, we didn't have any money.
No.
And they'd always like make something in the commercial breaks, like cook some dinner, but we didn't do that with them. But
we probably couldn't have afforded the ingredients in those dinners.
Probably not. But man, we love all those old sitcoms like Raymond. Everybody loves Raymond and King of Queens. Our kids love King of Queens.
Yeah,
and I've got my mom hooked on King
Which
of
they're
Queens.
A terrible example of marriage, by the way.
Oh yeah, they're always fighting.
So mean to
and
each
everybody
other.
Loves Raymond.
Oh,
he's the worst.
He is.
And then, but Seinfeld, Friends, Big Bang Theory, all those. And if I ever need anything just mindless, while I'm doing like mindless work, and I just kind of want something on the background, I'll turn on one of those. And I've seen, The Office, Seinfeld, all that. We've seen it. We love it. We don't recommend all of it. There's some. I know which episodes to skip and which ones to not. But yeah, so it's really funny. And so, but every once in a while, a sitcom episode can stumble upon a really good lesson.
Yeah.
And it's not often,
Nope.
but every once in a while they really can. And so we're going to use Ross and Rachel from Friends. And if you don't remember that, we're going to tell you about that story, maybe jog your memory, but we're not going to use them as a moral lesson, but we are going to use them as a mirror.
Yeah, because they weren't even married; they were in their relationship. They were dating.
Not at that
couple.
point.
Yep. Yep.
So this is more about patterns and not personalities.
Okay.
So let's talk about that argument and what happened. So what led to this big argument is Rachel had kind of bounced around from job to job. Never, she grew up, kind of rich and spoiled, and she had never really had a career. And so she always loved fashion. And so finally she gets this job in this fashion world that she's really excited about and means everything to her. And she had worked really hard to get there. And Ross, he loved dinosaurs. So he was
he was a paleontologist.
Yes. And so he had always been in his career and all that. And so, he was wanting to spend more time with her. Well, she was busy with career. And so he shows up at her office with like this picnic thing, and she's right in the middle of this deadline, and she's like, "What are you doing?" And he just feels rejected. Right action, wrong time.
Yeah.
And so they go back and they're at the apartment and they get in this argument, and he's like, "I always feel like I'm dating your answering machine." And she's like, "What do you want, Ross? You don't understand. I love my job." And he goes, "Oh, man," all this kind of stuff. And finally, she just comes out with this, maybe we should take a break. And he goes, fine, that's great. Let's simmer down. Let's go get something to eat and take a break. And she goes, no, maybe we just need to take a break from each other.
Mm-hmm.
And he just leaves. And what he heard was,
I'm done.
You don't love me.
Yep.
I'm not good enough.
We're over.
We're over, and all of that. And what she intended was we just needed to take a pause in the relationship. And if you've ever seen it, what happened after that. Ross went that night and he meets this girl, this bar. He cheats, he has
a one-night stand.
Has a one-night stand. Rachel views that as cheating. He views that as, we were on a break. And that becomes, the whole year, the whole next season revolves around that issue.
Yep.
And so, but I do want to go back to that argument because that's really what we want to talk about today. We all have those arguments, and maybe it's a recurring argument, or we have that argument where you say something and you don't clarify it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you, I could have righted that whole season.
Yeah.
I mean, we could have gotten, we could have solved that thing right before it started. He never cheated on her. There was one question that should have been asked in the middle of that argument. And that's what happens. Most repeated arguments start with unclarified moments. So we're going to, on the other side of this, talk about what that was and what they should have asked.
If you and your spouse are longing to grow deeper in your relationship with the Lord and each other, try one of our at-home signature courses. These step-by-step courses will help you to reset, realign, and rekindle your marriage with Christ at the center. You'll get clear teaching, practical exercises, downloadable couples guides, and tools you can use this week, plus options to learn at your pace or together over a weekend. You can enroll in a course that fits you. Simply go to themarriageadventure.com/courses.
All right, so they're in the middle of the argument. She says, maybe we need to take a break.
Mm-hmm.
If we pause right there, and if Ross could have asked one question, everything would have been hunky-dory.
What was that question?
Better. If Ross had just said, what do you mean by a break?
Yeah.
That was it. One simple sentence would have solved the whole thing. He would have never cheated. The whole big 18-page note she wrote him, all of that. But that wouldn't have made good TV.
No.
But what if he had just said, Rachel, what do you mean by a break?
Yeah. Because in that moment, she really just was wanting him to understand her.
Yeah.
He was wanting, and there was a lot she didn't get out because she didn't get the opportunity because he was done. He just walked out.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
He hears abandonment and not her pain,
mm-hmm.
and he just leaves, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so in our relationships and in our arguments and different things like that, when we don't clarify, Bonnie, what hijacks the conversation?
Our emotions.
Yeah.
I can get so angry and so you can say something in the moment where I'm not feeling understood, so it makes me mad because I'm frustrated, mm-hmm. and vice versa. And then our emotions start rising, and then you get into the cycle of okay, now I got to win this, or now I've got to make you understand, or you don't understand, and you should just understand.
Yeah.
And so then emotions take over, and they start lying to us, and then it just hijacks reason.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So.
Yep. And so clarifying questions create space between emotion and reaction.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that we're not emotional. It's not that we don't care, but we seek truth to lead the way and not emotion.
Yeah.
And so it's we've said this before. Emotions make a great engine of caboose of a train, but a terrible engine.
Mm-hmm.
Truth is the engine of the train. Emotions need to follow behind that. And so don't let emotion hijack your conversation. And so assumptions do what?
Our son says assumptions lead to dysfunctions.
He was like 10 years old when he came out with that. And we're like,
that's so true.
buddy, that's brilliant. Did you make that up? And so,
Oh no, I know.
that's very true. Assumptions lead to dysfunctions.
Well, and most of the time when most people get in arguments, is that you're in a conversation. Somehow you start a conversation, and your emotions get in it because you see things differently than I do, or you're not understanding me, and I'm trying to make you understand, and you understand something a different way, and then we get it's infused with all this, but you don't get me, and I need you to get this, but we've just got differing opinions, and then emotions keep us from even thinking clearly ourselves.
Yeah. Yep.
And communicating what we really mean.
Yeah. And so in Ross and Rachel's situation, Rachel's intention was, I want you to understand me. I am at a pivotal place in my career, and maybe we need to just kind of pause and cool, take a little break from each other, but not date other people. Because that question, if he had clarified it and said, what does a break mean? Does that mean we're done forever? Does that mean we can date other people?
Yeah.
Does that mean, what does that mean? And she could have clarified it and said, no, I don't want to date other people. I still love you.
I just need you to support me and give me a minute.
Yes. And,
Yeah.
if we could just go back and produce that.
I know when we assume stuff, we're just filling in the blanks with whatever it is that our side thinks.
Yeah.
It's like whatever we've got going through our mind, it's like we're just filling in the blanks, and that might not be what the other person's thinking at all.
Yeah. When I was on staff at the church, we'd always talk about when we communicate to the people in the church or the people, the volunteers or our staff about things we're going to do as a church, we need to over communicate and communicate the things that we mean, and don't leave things blanks out there.
People will fill
because
them in.
people will fill in the blanks. If you leave something unsaid, they will fill in that blank with their assumption, and it's usually not right. So speak clearly and speak what you intend to say and what you mean. And so.
Well, and there are times we don't even really know what we mean. We're women. We don't always know.
Well, men don't always either.
I mean, we don't always know what's there. And so, I don't know. And I think when we get in these big arguments like that, if we feel like we're sinking, sometimes we just throw out the big gun of something like she did, like maybe we just need a break because it's a shocker. And it's like, okay, stop, pause, listen to me, and this is big enough that I need you to pay attention to this. And it's almost a shock value sometimes, and it's not even what she really probably didn't even mean it.
Yeah.
But it's just hey, I'm waving a flag here, trying to get your attention that this is how important this issue is to me, that I'm willing to throw something that big out there saying, maybe we just need to take a break.
Yeah. Well, and men aren't the best about talking and clarifying. So men throw out a lot of times, I'm fine, it's not a big deal. Man, that's a big paragraph blank to fill in, So,
yeah.
So in there, we don't respond to words, we respond to the meaning that we assign to those words. So make sure that you speak with clarity. And we talk about active listening all the time when we do premarital workshops and different things like that. And if you go to any counselor and you're going to talk about communication, active listening is one of the biggest things, because what you're doing is you're listening to understand, not listening to respond. And most of the time, we don't listen. We hear, and we're thinking about our response.
Yeah.
But active listening clarifies. Active listening says, okay, I want to understand what you're saying. Do you mean this, Is this what you mean? And then you get the opportunity to say,
no, that's not what I meant.
Or you can say, yeah, this is exactly what I meant, right? But it takes all of that conjecture out,
Yeah.
So clarifying, it really does protect the relationship. I mean, when you think about going back to Ross and Rachel, right? He blew up the whole relationship because he thought she meant we're done.
Yeah.
He didn't clarify it. And he just goes out and
does something really stupid.
Yeah, he applies a permanent solution to a temporary issue.
Ooh.
And that's what can happen when we don't clarify.
Yeah. So. Well, and I think that's, he did do something that just blew up the whole thing in an emotional response. But I think that's important to remember, that when we are in the middle of something emotional like that, to be super careful about making decisions in the heat of a moment. We have got to be so careful that we don't react just to win or just to have our way or to prove a point. We've got to be really careful when we're in those moments that we need to pause and not make a decision that can wreck everything in that moment. That we need to do what we can to protect the relationship.
Yeah. And so clarifying, it's not weakness. We tend to think of fights as there's got to be a winner. But in your relational conflict, if one of you wins, the relationship loses.
Right.
So there's really no winner in relational conflict. And so therefore, since there's no winner and you shouldn't be trying to win, you should be trying to understand, bring clarity into it.
Yeah.
And but we're
human.
Bunch of sinful humans, and we want to win, or we want to have the upper hand, or whatever, and so we don't. But clarifying, it's not weakness; it's really protection. If you value your relationship, try to bring some clarity into your conversations and into your arguments. So let's kind of dial this in and bring it home to your marriage, right? So with this Ross and Rachel, the fight really wasn't about the break. Their fight was about what? She was busy.
He felt disconnected.
And there was this unspoken distance there. And really, they probably wanted the same thing. He wanted her to be successful at work.
And she wanted to be connected to him.
Yeah, but they didn't allow that space in their conversation to go to a deeper level. They let emotions just run with it. And, of course, we are talking about sitcom land.
Yeah.
But in real life, we can't operate that way.
Right.
There's bigger things at stake. And so, clarity works when connection is there. So when you feel disconnected from your spouse, selfishness is probably going to creep in. Yeah. And so that's just another it's really important to stay connected as a couple.
Yeah.
So here's some big takeaways for you. We're not saying Ross was evil or Rachel was dramatic. She might have, Rachel was dramatic sometimes, but
but we're saying the relationship suffered because nobody clarified the moment that mattered most.
And in our marriages, in real marriages, the same thing happens when life gets busy and then connection fades. Then we allow assumptions to just take over, and that leads to dysfunctions.
Assumptions lead to dysfunctions. But clarifying conversations, that's powerful because they require enough emotional connection to slow things down. When we clarify, it's just like, take a breath. What I heard you say was this. Is this what you really mean? Or what do you mean by that? Is a great question to ask.
Yeah. So if this episode, if you're kind of connecting with this, then the next step isn't just learning what to say in an argument.
No, it's learning how to stay emotionally connected when life gets busy.
Because that's really what we're dealing with. Rachel was really, really busy, and she felt disconnected. He felt disconnected. So if I could recommend Ross and Rachel something to listen to, it would be this episode, our episode called Staying Connected During Busy Seasons. That would have helped them.
Yeah.
But podcast didn't exist then. No. And so it builds directly on everything we've talked about today. So you check that out. We'll put the link in the show notes.
Because don't forget that clarity requires connection. And be sure to check out that episode, and we'll link it in the show notes.
That's right. So thanks for spending time with us today. We had fun hanging out with you. And remember, you don't need to win the argument.
You just need to understand each other.
That's right. So if you haven't gone to YouTube and subscribed there, go on there and subscribe, and you'll see this stuff filtering in to your YouTube account and your homepage there. And then go to Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and all that and follow us there and tell your friends about us. We want to hang out with them too. See you next time. We are